so that if there's any students that missed either being here nor on the Zoom, that they have a good breakdown of what the expectations are, what all the assignments are for this session, and all of that good stuff. So I will just start with an introduction. I know I've had at least a couple of you before. My name is Julie Wallace, and this is my first time teaching anatomy and physiology here at Park. And I'm sure that you noticed that the Canvas shell is bare. And that's because they did not have it set up for the online participation as a hybrid course as it is intended to be. And so the challenge with that is that they wanted me to teach it all live, which is, if you saw the times adjust for the class, that's why we have to do all live class. So that's why there is not that much in the Canvas shell. I am going to be uploading the PowerPoints, but really for this class, you need to have the textbook. And I wanted to kind of just get an idea of how many of you have the textbooks, either the lecture or live. If you could just type yes in the chat if you have it, and no if you don't. And that way I can get an idea for how many of you have the textbook. A lot of no's. Okay. I figured that might be the case. So it's and I just looked up how much the textbook is this morning, and I was like, wow, okay, it's it is very expensive. I don't know if some of you know each other in your class. You could maybe, you know, purchase one and then share the textbook or something like that. But for the lab book, you definitely need the lab manual. Oh, okay. Thank you, Elise. Because it has questions. That's basically how we're going to do our labs. Our lab is model based. And so we're going to be looking at the anatomy models that are here, hopefully, if everybody is able to come back. And so that is going to be basically how you do your labs. Instead of having lab reports, you're just going to complete the questionnaires in the lab manual. Hattie, did you have a question? Or are you just raised?
Yeah, you kind of answered it. I was just going to ask if we needed to get the book from the bookstore or if we could get it from like Amazon or something if they have it.
Yeah, if you can find it cheaper somewhere, usually even an older edition is fine. Sometimes they'll shuffle chapters around or something like that, but usually the content's the same. So
but with the lab book, does that one have to be purchased through the bookstore because we have to do stuff through that?
I mean, it does need to be blank. So the lab book, the lab manual, the only way you could purchase it used is if somebody, you know, had dropped the class and didn't fill in the rest of the information.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think I was already trying to work through how to do that because I figured that that might be the case for some of you. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to first, so the way that we're situated is kind of the first hour, I don't even remember the exact time, but first hour or so is lecture, and then we have the lab after that. And so what we're going to do is just kind of talk about the lecture information first today, after we go over, you know, what the assignments are and everything for the course. And then what I'm going to do is, actually, I just remembered 2 of the worksheets that are in that PDF that I attached to the announcement with the Zoom link in it today are very similar to the lab report. So I may just have y'all download that and start working on that. And then on Thursday, we will, I'll probably either do like a screenshot to share the questions for lab 1 and just kind of have you work through and Google them, and then we'll go over them next week in class. So that's my initial thoughts on how that's going to work. Yeah, Nathan, you have a question?
Do we have a lab every day?
Yes, so we do have lab on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll kind of just do like half of the stuff on one day and then half the stuff on the other day. Very good. All right, so let me see here. let me have each one of you just introduce yourself. Just tell me what your major is so I can kind of get an idea of how many of you are more on the fitness and wellness side and how many of you are more on going into the medical field or something related to that. I think I don't think we had an introduction. Oh, you'll be excited about this. One of the benefits to the fact that our class is now all live and not considered hybrid is that you don't have to do those discussion board posts that students hate that they think are really dumb. So that's one benefit. But the downside is now we didn't have an introduction thing. So, and I'm trying to remember, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself first, and then I'll just kind of go through, I think I'll just go through the list and call on each one of you. And that way, I don't know if you can see I don't know if my Brady Bunch screen's in the same order as yours. And that way everybody will know who to unmute as I get to you. But so, like I said, my name is Julie Wallace. I have kind of a mixed background actually in sports and exercise science and biology as well. I kind of call biology my former life. When I grew up in Texas, and when I was there, I got my bachelor's and master's in biology, and then was planning on going to medical school, but I did not make it into medical school. So I ended up entering a neurobiology PhD program, and learned after I finished all of the coursework of 3 years that I really hated doing animal research. And so I ended up leaving that, and I had a passion for fitness. And so I played in the fitness industry for about 10 years, where I did competed as a professional fitness competitor and opened up a human performance lab with a chiropractor, and then ended up going to Ohio. And then I ended up entering the sports and exercise science PhD program at the Ohio State University. And then did my dissertation on increasing exercise participation in firefighters, which some people might think firefighters are pretty active. They don't need that, but there's a lot of them, and especially the older school ones, that don't exercise enough. And cardiovascular events are one of the major causes for firefighter death. And so I did my dissertation in that, because at the time I was married to a firefighter. And so I was like, well, this works. But obviously I'm not married to him anymore, because I said I was. So I ended up finishing my PhD there at Ohio State, though, and ended up switching to educational psychology. So those are my three main passions and my three areas where I have my degrees. So teaching, sports and exercise science, and I was more on the behavioral side of it, like motivation for people to follow, nutrition and exercise plans, as opposed to the kinesiology, biomechanics part, and then biology. So I teach microbiology. I've taught anatomy and physiology. I've taught I can't remember what classes I had some of you, but I know human bio with Trey. Allison, were you in my human bio?
I was in personal and community health.
Okay, the health class. So I'm trying to remember who else. Hattie, did I have you in a first aid? She's driving. I don't want you to.
Sorry, I'm like in downtown Phoenix driving right now.
That's not good.
I know. I had you for personal and community health too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all running together. So. All right. So I think that's enough about me. So let me just go through and call on each one of you. And like I said, just tell me, actually, you can go ahead and tell me what sport you teach, what sport you compete in, and not if you're not in a sport. And then what your major is, what you're in your career plans, if you have those. So I'm gonna just go on my list, on my participant list. So Trey, I have you first.
All right, so y'all can hear me?
Yes. Barely,
So,
but I can hear you.
I'm on the basketball team here at Park. My major is psychology, but I have a fitness and wellness minor. So that's one of those classes. And I had you for, I think it was personal community health or something like that. And yeah.
career plans?
Oh, so if my basketball career doesn't work out, then I want to be like a trainer, kind of like a skill and development trainer, but also like a fitness trainer as
Okay.
well.
All right, very good. All right, Alexandra, I have next.
You can call me Alex. I'm a fitness and wellness major. I play softball and I want to go into like sports nutrition. And that's it.
I didn't realize I had two Alexandras, so that was confusing. Jim-Marie, okay, Alex. Writing a note for your name. All right, Allison, I have you next.
I'm Allison. My sport is soccer. I am majoring in psychology, but I'm minoring in fitness and wellness. And my career goal is to be a sports psychologist.
Okay, cool. And then some of the names are jumping around, so if I get this messed up. Allegra Potter.
I'm Allegra. I play softball and I want to be a pediatric nurse.
Okay. I'm deciding I should be marking who I've called on so far. All right, let's see here. Annalise.
You can call me Anna. I play softball. My major is psychology, but I want to be a sports psychologist.
Thank you. And then Carly. Is Carly on here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yep, there you are.
Really, I play basketball here at Park. I am a fitness and wellness major with a business minor. I want to be a physical therapist and hopefully one day own my own physical therapy institute. And yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you. And then Elise.
Hi, I'm Elise. I play basketball here. My major is fitness and wellness, and I want to be a personal trainer.
Thank you. Let's see here. Patty, you're up.
My name is Hattie. I play indoor and beach volleyball, and my major is fitness and wellness, and I want to do athletic training. It looks so pale on this thing.
All right, just focus on your driving. Making me nervous. All right, Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I also play indoor and beach volleyball. My degree is also in fitness and wellness. And then I either want to teach, coach, or do like sports marketing because I started with graphic design and then I had to switch over to fitness and wellness. So staying like somewhat in the athletic field is what I want.
Very cool. Thank you. All right. And then Nathan.
Hello. I want to be a physical therapist. I'm on the volleyball team, the men's, obviously not the women's. I'm actually currently working as a PT tech as a second job. So hopefully after I finish all my schooling, I'll just have a job.
Well, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then finally, Osvaldo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, so let me know.
Hi, my name is Osvaldo. I'm part of the soccer. I'm on the men's soccer team and majoring in fitness and wellness. And I want to be a physician assistant.
Okay. All right. Just jotting down some notes so I can try to remember. All right. I think I had a couple. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you all for sharing that. So what I'm going to do is just walk through the syllabus. Sometimes I get a little ADD and end up jumping around and going off on tangents. And so I want to make sure that we cover like kind of the housekeeping stuff first, and then we will do a Kahoot. I always like to use Kahoots when I can for the participation points and for taking attendance. I kind of can do that on Zoom too here, so it makes it a little bit easier, but get this away here, and then get to, so in case you haven't accessed the syllabus yet, when you first log into Canvas, if you click on the syllabus tab, there's actually a link from that will take you to a more like a PDF version of the syllabus, which I think is a little bit easier to read. So if you haven't done that yet, that makes a little bit easier view. I had to actually print it out, the schedules of the assignments for the session for everybody. So when we finally get to come back to in person, we can get to that, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about before I do that. So the announcement that I sent out, which by the way, make sure that you read all the announcements, because I do, since this is a new course here at the Gilbert Park, there may be some things that change. And so you definitely want to check on the announcements. That will be where I share any changes to assignments or due dates or anything like that. But this is the one I want. I also have the link to the syllabus on there as well, but I meant to go to the one announcement for that had the Zoom meeting in it. I went ahead and set up Zoom schedules, but hopefully we will be able to go back to live, and I don't want to continue to have the Zoom option because we really need to be interactive with this this class. And so it's going to be helpful if we can all be here. And like I said, for the labs, you need to be able to see the models and handle them and to do the assignments. And so that's why I said on here, trying to think of where it is here. Oh, this portion right here. So it says the lab portion of this class can only be partially completed without being in person. So since we have this COVID situation, I'm just going to let you complete the worksheets, and that will be your full credit for the lab. But going forward, some part of that is going to be missed if you're not able to be here in person for the lab portion, unless you have an excused exemption absent that you can.
I did have a question about that, just because we'll be, like, most of our games are Thursdays.
Okay.
So if we have, I know we were given a paper to give you for like an excused absence or whatever. So how is that going to work with the lab?
So what we can do is try to work on that. Maybe I will actually send out an email that's kind of like a survey of when everybody's games are going to be. And then that way we could do like all the hands-on stuff on Tuesdays, you know, or I could switch it for individuals if they have something that they have to do on Tuesday. So as long as you're able to be here at least one, because we're going to stay on the same chapter for both Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
For each one. Yeah, that makes it just a little bit more of navigation, but there just may be some of the questions that you answer on your own without being in the class. So I just wanted to point that out. And then I do have the worksheets that I was going to do for class today. I know they're kind of small, but they're attached to that announcement. There's a PDF that has just a blank anterior and posterior view of the body that you're going to fill in with information from the lab manual. So a lot of you, since you don't have that, you can probably in the meantime just Google it. And in fact, I'm going to share a resource to a free online anatomy and physiology text that's in OpenStax. And that's something that you could probably use actually for the session if you really can't buy the lecture textbook. But like I said, for the lab, you're going to need the lab manual in order to do that part of it. So any other questions about that? I'll send, actually, let me write that down. I start saying I'm going to do things and then I end up forgetting by the end of class. So, okay, I'm going to send a survey to get an idea of when the games are.
If I finish, do you want us just to email it to you?
I'm trying to think because I actually wasn't going to have it for a grade. So I was planning on just going over it in class. So what we'll probably do is either go over it on Thursday or next Tuesday, depending on how I want to do that. So there's no need for you to submit it to me. But good job.
So you're wanting us to print it out, right?
I mean, if you have a way to like do it on your computer, you could do that also. Since you don't have to turn it in, you can, if you have it just like in, I don't know, even in Paint or something like that, you can do that. So if you don't have an easy way to print it out.
Okay.
I have them printed if I could reach it through the computer. I could give you all the printouts. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to get that cleared up before we go on to the syllabus. So let's go back to the syllabus. And I'm not going to read through the whole thing because you can read, but I just want to get to just some of the kind of navigational things that you need to know for the class that might be a little confusing. So let's see here. Get on to, of course, I have my contact information. I do have my office hours listed on the syllabus and under the instructor information tab. I'm going to say that for office hours, I'm not going to, oops, that's still my old version on here. I can't remember now. There's one day that I'm actually going to come live here right before class, and then the other day is actually only available through Zoom. But just if anybody does need office hours, then just send me an email and let me know, and we'll figure out when we're going to do it exactly, because there's not really a place for me to come up here to sit anyways. And so you just need to let me know if you do want to have a visit during office hours. Usually everything gets answered through email anyways, so relatively important. All right, the section on the textbooks. So like I said, I'm going to give you an option that is free that you might be able to use as your lecture, which would be this one here, which is on OpenStax, if any of you have used that before. But I will send the link in that email that I'm going to send. The lab manual is the one that you do need because it has the specific questions and activities that we're going to do for the lab. So that one is at least vital for this. All of this mumbo jumbo. Oh, there's a another thing on here. Well, I'll just talk about it when I get to the final exam there. So we'll talk about that in a second. So notice that I have tentative schedule on there. Again, that's because of the fact that this is a new class and I'm not sure exactly. Whoops, I just noticed there's stuff in the chat and I don't have the chat box open. Oh, okay. I think somebody else answered it.
Yeah, I just you're talking.
Sorry. See, I'm making sure I didn't miss anything else. Okay, I got everything. Okay, I'm gonna try to remember to leave my chat open so that I can see if somebody says something. Okay, so I guess, and one of the big things that you want to pay attention to, and maybe I will include the more detailed table of contents for the textbook. If you do use the OpenStax, you're going to want to pay attention to the topic for the chapter as opposed to the chapter number. Or if you're using an older edition of the lecture, you want to pay attention to that as well, because a lot of times they'll just kind of shuffle around chapters. So I will provide you a more detailed version of the table of contents that kind of has the subtopics, and that way you'll know where you can find that information. But we're basically covering about a chapter a week. There are going to be, I'll skip down to the bottom and come back to this. I can't remember. Oh, actually. So every single class, so we have 16 weeks for our session. About ours is weird because we have too many breaks in it, but during when we're actually meeting and having class, that are going to be 6.25. I think all of you know that after the first 2 weeks, we don't take attendance officially, but I do have participation points because this is one of those classes where if you are not here, you're going to miss a lot of the material, and it's very detailed material. And so I do provide participation points, so that'll be 6.25 points per week. So that'll break it down to 3 or so points for both Tuesday and Thursday. Just kind of split that. And then we're going to have 10 labs. If you count the labs on the syllabus, there's only 9. So I think I'm going to add in their lab 2 for the lab report. And then we'll figure out when I can fit that in based on this whole COVID situation. But we might do that early next week or within the next couple of weeks. So that'll make it to 10, which are worth 20 points each. Those are going to include, so these would be for our labs. Those are going to include activities within the lab. There's certain things like, for example, one of the things for this first unit is to slice an apple on the different planes so that you can draw what it would look like. And then looking at the torso model that we have and showing which way the dissection goes for those planes. So that's part of the topics for today's information for this chapter 1. So it includes those activities. And then also at the end of the lab, there's review questions, which I'll probably pull that up when we get to the lab section here in a minute so that you can kind of get an idea for what that is. But part of that is like the labeling, like is in that PDF that was attached to the announcement with the Zoom.
Is there a way that we'll be able to like make up participation points if we have games and like we aren't able to be at the labs?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Yeah, I will. I do different things during different weeks, so I'll figure out a way to have it to where you can make up the participation points by just emailing me something. All right, so the lab totals about 30% of your grade, and then the rest of it is basically just quizzes and assessments and the participation points. So the lab exams will be kind of like practical exams. So I'll have some models out and you'll have to identify certain structures and things like that. So that's going to be those 3 lab exams that are worth 33 points each. I was trying to make it 100 points, but. And then you'll have 5 quizzes and then 3 lecture exams and 1 final exam. And I have on the schedule above that situated where all of these different things are. Again, this is tentative, so some of this may adjust a little bit. And if anybody has, a game pop up or something like that, I can administer you the exam during office hours or something like that. So the breakdown of what's included on the quizzes is on here. So for example, your first quiz will be week 4. That's going to be chapters 1 through 3. I was able to set up the quizzes on Canvas. So those are the only assignments that you're going to actually complete on Canvas. The tests will actually be on paper in class here. So let me just kind of scroll down in the modules here. So for example, whoops, it's in week 4. In week 4, you'll notice here that I have quiz, which that has the wrong date on there. I already see something I need to change. Quiz to week 4. But that's one that you'll just click on the quiz in Canvas, and it has a bank of questions, and I have it at unlimited attempts. And that way you can kind of use the quiz to process through the different questions that you're going to see on the exams. I will use very similar questions on the exams that are on the quizzes. And so the more times you take the quiz, the more of the questions you're going to get to see, and the better you're going to get to learn them. I like to use the quizzes as a learning tool instead of just an assessment. And so that's kind of how the quizzes are set up. So quizzes, only thing that you're going to do on Canvas. And I will adjust those due dates. So it'll be sometime during that week.
So all the homework and stuff like that gonna be done like in person or turned in person?
Yes, yeah. So unless you have to miss class for a sporting event or being sick or something like that, then I would let you email it to me.
I bet.
All right, and then, so like I said, tentatively, the exams I have set on the specific dates that are listed on here. We have 3 of those exams, and then we have the final exam after our Thanksgiving break, which is worth 200 points. The final exam is comprehensive. So again, I would highly, lean on those quizzes. And after each exam, we will go over kind of the most missed questions just to kind of help everybody learn from that. And then the final exam, I do make the final exam. It is not a departmental exam like it says on there. So the good thing about that is that I know what I've covered with you guys. I know what I've quizzed you on. And so it will be based on those questions and topics that you've learned before and had tests and worksheets and questions on. So the schedule kind of got weird with the different chapters and whatnot. So that's why I ended up with kind of those last 2 quizzes. There's too many holidays in this session. It made me kind of have to shuffle them all around. And then like I said, for the labs, those will be the worksheets that you hand in. And then we have the 3 lab exams. On this schedule, I have both lecture and lab exams just because I was trying to keep track of when we were having them. I was trying to not do them during the same weeks, but it turns out that right before the fall break, we're going to kind of have to do those. We may do one of those on Tuesday and the other on Thursday. I can't remember exactly what that schedule was, but so once we get closer to that, we'll kind of see how everybody's feeling and everybody's schedules are, and make sure that you'll be able to take both of those. All right, so I think that's it for the assignments. Does anybody, I just noticed there's another chat. Allegra asked if COVID problems keep coming up and we have to miss a test or something, we'll be able to. Yeah, so I'll have to figure out a way to do that, but I may just have it to where the test is delayed until after you're able to take it in person. Because it's the bad thing about that is if everybody else doesn't get to use their book on it, but then I have to take it where somebody can take it offline, then that's not fair to everybody else. So I have to figure out a way to do that to where we could get that made up. But yeah, I know we've learned how to improvise with this past year and everything. So between all of your athletic events and your and the COVID issues, we'll get it figured out. I'll make sure that you don't miss out on it. All right, any other questions about the assignments? I don't think there's anything else in here that's vital that we need to talk about. Okay, close that. It was yelling at me for having too much stuff open anyways. So. I am going to next pull up the Kahoot, which I'm trying to remember what account I did the Kahoot in. I teach it too many different places. So this you can just log into the Kahoot, and you can either do it on your phone or on your PC, whichever works easiest for you. I do want you to log in with your real last name so that I can have that kind of as a backup for my attendance. So if you want to add a nickname or something like that, you can do that as well, or a little emoji, that's fine, but just use your real last name first. And then I don't think I have any duplicates. Oh, we do. I don't know if Richard's on here, but we have 2 Smiths. So if your last name is Smith, put at least your first initial, if not your first name after.
Oh, my real name is Richard, but everybody call me Trey. So.
Oh, okay, okay.
You have the same name as my brother. Just want to point that out.
Richard or Trey?
Trey.
Okay. While this loads, I'm going to write a note for myself. Hang on. Okay, here we go. This is only 5 questions, so it'll kind of be a quick one. I want to just kind of get an assessment for how many of you know some of these terms, and then we'll walk through the information for the lecture here. Oh, where did it go? I clicked on the Kahoot. My computer does not play nice when I'm zooming. It gets overloaded. It's now loading slowly. All right, our game pin is 6721841.
Hold on. I gotta.
I'm gonna type it in the chat just in case.
Hold on.
Mine's not letting me log in.
And we being graded on the participation, not the if it's correct.
What'd you say?
We being graded on participation and not on if like we get the answer correct, right?
Yes. Yeah, this is for your participation points. All right, cool. I think that's everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it started here. All right, number one, if someone has broken a leg, he or she has damaged the blank division of the body. So these are terms related to areas of the body or positions of the body. Only two of you. All right, this is the appendicular body. The picture might have confused some of you. Maybe some of you thought that's the back side, so you were thinking dorsal, but the picture really wasn't, just kind of a eye candy. So it's not necessarily the front or the back of the egg, so that's why it's not dorsal. You'll learn when we get to the skeletal system, which is actually quite a while, but you'll start to learn these terms. Appendicular has to do with appendages. So this would be the arms and the legs. That's the appendicular skeleton, whereas the axial is the midline. So this would include your skull and your spine and your rib cage. And so we will learn more about that later. And there's some more questions about these other terms. So I'm going to not say anything else on that until we go through the next questions. All right, the term superficial refers to a structure that is, which of these? Missing one. That is at the body surface. So superficial means that it's more towards the outside or the exterior of something, as opposed to deep, which means that it's deep within the tissues towards the center. So these are all going to be terms that are in your textbook that you're going to be learning, these directional terms. These are actually in the PowerPoint also, which I don't think I didn't pull it up, but under module 1, I think either yesterday, I think it was yesterday I added, but anyways, the PowerPoints I've started adding in there. I wasn't sure exactly what all I was going to post on there, but these terms are in the PowerPoint, so you can start learning those from there. All right, number 3, the term blank refers to internal organs, while the term blank refers to body cavity walls. This is an example showing the heart here. Oh, my nose is itching. All right, that is visceral first for internal organs, parietal for the cavity walls. Anytime you see the word visceral, you should think your internal organs. So that is always going to mean your internal organs. Anything associated with your organs is going to be called visceral. If you look at this example here, it's showing you the parietal pericardium, and it's pointing to, try to get my little spotlight on, the very exterior part of the sac surrounding the heart. And so those different layers are referred to as that. So between the parietal outer layer and the visceral inner layer, there is what is called serous fluid in there that you can kind of think of as lubrication. So for example, the heart has to beat, and it's moving when it beats, when it beeps, it contracts. And so those tissues need some type of fluid in order to allow them to slide over each other without causing friction. All right, number 4, which of these divides the body horizontally into superior and inferior parts, as seen in the picture here? All right, that is transverse or horizontal plane. Some of these terms, you'll see that there's more than one plane that refers to the same idea. So a transverse or horizontal plane is the superior part would be the top half, the inferior part would be the lower half. These transverse or horizontal planes can be in different areas, and so they may be named different depending on where exactly they are. You'll see some of those examples in the PowerPoint. And then you'll also learn about the other planes as well. So those pictures are straight from your PowerPoint as well. And number 5, the popliteal region is blank to the pelvis. Whoops, I meant to get rid of these. I changed the question and I forgot to make sure it made sense. So pretend like these isn't there. Popliteal region is blank to the pelvis. Writing myself a note to edit that so I don't forget. Whoa, I only got 3 people voted on that one. What happened? All right, that would be inferior. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull up the textbook while we're on Zoom, just because my computer is so quirky about it. So I'm going to try pulling up the PowerPoint for a second here and see if I can pull this up. And if not, I think what I'm going to have you guys do is download the PowerPoint yourselves and read through that, and then go through those two worksheets. There's actually 3, but one of them's not really in the PowerPoint that we're going to talk about in class, and then have you label those, and then we'll go over those on Thursday. All right, so good job, everyone. Let me make sure I can keep this report, get it downloaded, and then I'm going to close this out. If anybody wants to take, so technically, I can't remember the exact times. Technically, we have a break between lecture and lab. If anybody wants to take a 5 or 10 minute break, I'm going to download this report, and then I'm going to see if I can pull up the textbook to show you here in a second. So we'll just do that. We'll plan on coming back at 3:20, and I'm going to pause the recording. I'll just finish this on here. All right, so is everybody completely confused about what I want you to do? Yes. Okay. All right, so I want you to finish those, at least the first 2 pages of the PDF that I attached to the announcement with the Zoom. So that was that labeling of the, this one with the labeling of those. The homeostasis one we're going to talk about on Thursday. So that 3rd one with the boxes, if you finished it, that's fine. But if not, we're going to go over that information on Thursday. I think what I might do is actually just capture a video going through the PowerPoint and post that for you guys to watch. And that way you kind of have like a real lecture for that material. And then I'm gonna send you the lab that I just took the screenshots of, the review worksheet. That will do all on Thursday. So I just want you to do the labeling of the anterior and posterior sections of that PDF that was attached. So I have that done for Thursday, and then the rest of it we'll do together in class on Thursday. All right, so does anybody have any other questions before we end? All right, hopefully I will.
So we're just doing the first and second page of the lab?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right, so thank you everybody for joining me. Sorry for all the confusion for the first day. Like I said, hopefully I'll see some of you live on Thursday, and if not, it'll be the same accessible Zoom link. You can also find it under your Zoom tag in Canvas if you do have to do that. And then, like I said, just watch out for announcements and I'll get you updated on things. All right, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.